Former Venezuelan presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia left the country and requested political asylum in Spain. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan calls on Islamic countries to unite against Israel's growing expansionist threat. In Vietnam, at least 12 people lost their lives on Saturday due to the passage of Typhoon Yagi. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The former presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, who had been a voluntary refugee in the embassy of the Kingdom of Spain in Caracas for several days, left the country and requested political asylum from that government. The opposition figure was facing 6 charges, including the publication and maintenance of an illegal web page, which disseminated fraudulent results, in addition to other crimes such as instigation to disobey the law, usurpation of functions, and conspiracy. Gonzalez Urrutia left after Venezuela granted the due safe conduct for the sake of the political peace of the country in compliance with international legality. This conduct reaffirms this respect for the law that has prevailed in the actions of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela in the international community. And following Edmundo Gonzalez's departure to Spain, the Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab, read a statement expressing the public ministry's full respect of the decision taken by the executive in compliance with Venezuelan and international laws.
The governments of Spain and Venezuela agreed upon the safe conduct of Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia to abandon the national territory and accepted the asylum conceded by Spain. In consequence, this public ministry expresses its entire respect to the decisions of the Venezuelan executive to fulfill the right of asylum guaranteed by the Constitution of the Republic in the 69th article, managed to surrender the safe conduct which correspond.
The Attorney General added in the same statement that on September 4th, the former opposition candidate recognized the public ministry's authority and maintained close communication through his legal representative on the charges being investigated.
Once that in the communication to the public ministry received on September 4th, citizen Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia expressed his acknowledged to our authority as General Prosecutor of the Republic and the capability that has the institution that we directed in base of the law and Constitution. This public ministry has maintained tight communication established during the last days with the judicial holder of Mr. Gonzalez Urrutia, lawyer Jose Vicente Aro, to the end to get the cause of investigation of this office.
Tarek William Saab also said the public ministry was informed by the corresponding authorities from the very beginning on all the movements taking place.
This public minister has knowledge by first hand of the exact moment in which citizen Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia entered to the embassy of the Spain Kingdom in Caracas. Then we went to get the news by the Venezuelan authorities of the request of asylum by him in the frame of the international laws of the human rights and the diplomatic relations between the both states.
In Chile, people mobilized this Sunday to pay tribute to the victims of Augusto Pinochet's dictatorship. Under the slogan, "Yesterday's impunity brought today's injustices," at 10 a.m. local time, people started marching from the Hero Square towards the General Cemetery of the capital, Santiago. Their march was a way to pay homage to the over 400,000 victims, which includes those arrested, forcibly gone missing, and executed during the 17 years of the Pinochet dictatorship. This march coincides with the 51st anniversary of the coup d'etat against the government of the Popular Unity led by Salvador Allende. On this day of protest in Chile, police clashed with demonstrators in the vicinity of the presidential La Moneda Palace as they were marching towards the general cemetery. At least one person was injured and taken to a hospital. March participants reported that there were also pockets of intimidation in other areas of the city. The relatives of the people executed and forcibly gone missing during the dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet claim their social and political rights because they have spent the last 51 years not knowing the whereabouts of their relatives.
We come to this march for our victims, not so much out of pain, but for social and political vindication. Because it's been 50 years of not knowing where they are, it's been 50 years of justice not being served, and the cases that have been tried. The sentences have not been in accordance to the severity of the crimes committed, sentences of 5 years, 10 years, as if it were common crimes and not crimes against humanity.
In Costa Rica, health authorities have confirmed at least 12 people dead from dengue fever in the last 15 days. Doctors have warned about the marked increase in the number of fatalities in recent days. Until then, there had been only 3 deaths from the disease this year. Health Minister Mari Munive lamented the worsening of the dengue situation in the country, and as other health and government authorities have done, she urged people to eliminate breeding sites in homes and communities in order to prevent the spread of the disease. In Brazil, social movements took to the streets on September 7th, the day that commemorates the independence of the South American giant. For 30 years, these movements have denounced that independence has not benefited everyone and demanded the guaranteed rights of the state for the most impoverished. Details with our correspondent Andre Vieira and Sebastián Soto.
Under the slogan, "All forms of life matter, but who matters?" the people of Brazil marched in the 5 regions of the country in the cry of all the excluded, which is celebrated every September 7th, the date of Brazil's independence.
We want to defend the life of nature, the life of the territories, the life of the indigenous people, the life of the quilombolas, the life of the people of the peripheries. So here we are making this cry for all the people who are suffering violence every day.
Over 3 decades, the cry of the excluded not only demands rights for the Brazilian people, but also calls for the guarantee of sovereignty for countries and peoples around the world.
Being here today on the 30th anniversary of the Cry of the Excluded is an immense difference to present the denunciations of how important it is to defend the Palestinian territory, as well as to defend the sovereignty of Venezuela and other countries that are under attack.
At a time when the extreme right is on the rise worldwide, Brazilian movements reaffirm their commitment to the defense of life in all its forms of expression and dialogue with society about the multiple forms of exclusion.
Facing the fragility of the young Brazilian democracy, we seek that independence and democracy can bridge the communities, neighborhoods and favelas, and that the working class is recognized from the perspective of rights.
This Saturday's activity also serves as a preparation for the People's Summit, which will be held in parallel with the G20 meeting in November in Rio de Janeiro.
Andre Vieira e Sebastián Soto, teleSUR, Brasil.
Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back. The Israeli occupation forces carried out 3 massacres in the Gaza Strip in the past 24 hours, killing at least 33 Palestinians. According to medical sources, these actions also left more than 145 wounded. Health officials warned that both figures could be even higher, as many of the victims remain trapped under the rubble of the infrastructure hit by the bombings due to Israeli obstructions to the entry of ambulances and civil defense teams. According to the latest report, Health authorities say at least 40,000 Palestinians have been killed and 94,000 injured since October 2023, when Israel's war on the Gaza Strip began. Israeli occupation forces arrested at least 35 Palestinians in the West Bank, including former prisoners, in the past 2 days. A joint statement issued by organizations defending the rights of Palestinian prisoners revealed that detentions occurred in most West Bank governorates. The statement further highlighted the ill treatment and threats against the detainees and their families, including on-site interrogations and the destruction of their homes. The organizations further denounced that these systematic arrest campaigns have become a central policy of the Israeli occupation, intensifying significantly since the beginning of the current aggression against Gaza. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan calls on Islamic countries to unite against Israel's growing expansionist threat. Erdogan claims that Israel intends to commit genocide in both the West Bank and Gaza, and that it will not stop but will target other countries in the region, such as Lebanon and Syria. To prevent this, Turkey has taken steps to improve relations with Egypt and Syria in order to form an alliance against the growing threat. According to Erdogan, there is no Palestinian-Israeli war in Gaza, but a conflict between expansionist Zionism and Muslims defending their homeland. Likewise, the Turkish president points out that this is a very critical period and that Islamic countries must wake up as soon as possible, be aware of the danger, and increase their cooperation.
One of our children, Aysenur Esgi, has been murdered. So far, 41,000 innocent civilians have been murdered, 17,000 of whom were children. Israel is brutally attacking children, women, young and old people. They are shedding.
On Sunday, representatives of the Arab League met in Cairo to discuss the war in Gaza and the current humanitarian crisis in the region. Mauritania's permanent representative called on the international community to act swiftly and effectively against Israel. He also pointed out that efforts should be made to stop the crimes committed in Palestinian territories. On the other hand, the Yemeni ambassador said that although the United Nations had not stopped the war, it was important to reach an agreement and put an end to the cycle of Israeli impunity.
We, as nations, the international community, and civil society organizations, must act swiftly and effectively. We need to intensify and unite our efforts to immediately and without delay stop all crimes being committed on Palestinian land. We must provide water, medicine, and all the necessities for a dignified human life for the displaced, facilitate the return of refugees to their homes, support rebuilding efforts, and apply all possible pressure on Israel to ensure compliance with the orders of the International Court of Justice.
For his part, the permanent representative of Yemen to the Arab League regretted that the United Nations Security Council had failed to put an end to the fascist violations of Israel against the Palestinian people.
The United Nations Security Council has failed to put an end to the fascist Israeli violations against the Palestinian people, despite the growing awareness of the free global public opinion that the time has come to break the cycle of Israel's impunity.
In other news, in Syria, the 2024-2025 school year began despite the consequences of the blockade and the ongoing conflict in the region. The Ministry of Education informed that at least 14,936 schools throughout the country opened the doors to receive around 3,709,000 minors and 270,000 teachers in different educational levels. Likewise, social organizations and state entities organized a series of fairs where parents can purchase school supplies, uniforms, shoes, among other things for the return to school. The government's initiative seeks to alleviate the economic burden on the most vulnerable families while promoting education for the country's youth and children. And according to human rights authorities in the Russian Federation, voting proceeded normally with a high level of organization. On this day, by-elections took place to elect local representatives, 3 seats in the lower house of parliament, 21 governors and 13 regional legislators. More than 55 million Russians are called to take part in these elections, which are held in every of the country's 89 regions and end this Sunday, September 8th. And during his visit to Papua New Guinea, Pope Francis made an appeal against armament and the exploitation of the common home during the Mass celebrated in Port Moresby. In his speech, the Catholic leader asked for the strengthening and union of the families of the region, as well as peace for the nations. At the same time, he rejected practices such as armament and the exploitation and contamination of planet Earth. The Supreme Pontiff made the appeal in this country, which is considered the third lung of the planet and which has suffered most from the effects of climate change. The Mass was attended by approximately 35,000 faithful who carried out local traditions such as the entrance procession of the concelebrants, an activity that was accompanied by music and dances of the region. And in the United States, 5 people were wounded in a shooting on Saturday afternoon in the state of Kentucky. In the United States, 5 people were wounded as a shooting occurred Saturday afternoon in the state of Kentucky. The mayor of the city of London said that the attack occurred on Interstate 75, but other people were reported injured in a car accident caused by the shooting. London mayor also reported that there were no fatalities, but that 3 people of the injured were taken to St. Joseph Hospital with head and facial trauma. Police are still searching for the suspect who fled the area in a pickup truck. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Vietnam, at least 12 people lost their lives on Saturday due to the passage of Typhoon Yagi, considered the most powerful typhoon recorded in Asia so far in 2024. The casualties were located in the territory's northern provinces of Quinh Thanh, Hai Phong, and Hai Duong, where at least 187 people were also reported injured, mostly due to falling trees and debris. The Vietnamese government evacuated more than 50,000 people from high-risk areas and mobilized nearly 500,000 soldiers for rescue and recovery efforts. Moreover, Typhoon Yagi left 22 people dead between China and the Philippines, although in the latter country, in addition to the death, 26 people were reported missing and 22 injured. In Morocco, in the province of Tata, in the center of the country, authorities reported at least 4 people dead and 14 missing due to floods caused by heavy rain. The local mayor explained that the storm caused the water level to rise in the valleys, which produced a landslide that destroyed 8 houses in the community of Tamarant. The meteorology department warned that the rains could continue during the next few days and affect several regions. In this sense, the civil protection personnel were deployed in the cities to guarantee the safety of the population facing new flood alerts. Meanwhile, in Algeria on Saturday afternoon, floods and torrential rains were recorded in the provinces of Béchar and Illizi. Civil protection teams recovered the body of a girl swept away by the landslide. In the same events, they rescued a family of 4 people trapped in the floods. Rains are expected to continue as well, affecting several regions during the next few days. In Algeria, the presidential polls resulted in the re-election of President Abdelmadjid Tebboune with 94.65% of the votes. The National Electoral Authority informed that participation in the elections reached 5,630,196 votes, which represents 48% of the voters. According to the electoral body, the candidate for the Movement for the Society of the Peace Party obtained 31.7% of the votes, while the candidate for the Front Socialist Party obtained 2.16%. Finally, the organization emphasized that the elections were carried out in a peaceful manner and took place in total normality. And every September 8th since 1958, International Journalist Day is commemorated in honor of the Czechoslovakian writer and journalist Julius Fučík, who was executed by the Nazis in 1943. This date is meant to highlight the importance of journalism in the search for truth, as well as to remember those who lost their lives in the exercise of this profession. In 1958, it was decided during the 4th Congress of the International Organization of Journalists to pay tribute to the state to Julius Fučík, arrested on several occasions by the Nazis due to his militancy and writings in favor of communism and against fascism. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thanks for watching.